4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovey offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And I'm Lovey.
Sorry.
Welcome back. You could be doing lots of different things, but you've chosen to come back to another episode. For those of you that are new to the podcast, we welcome you. And if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, buckle up. Look, we're a couple that's been married for 28 plus years, and we've been through some things. And because of that, we decided to do a podcast, become marriage coaches, and share other couples, their stories, as well as subject matter experts with you. But as far as us and what we're about, our story, we met on a blind date.
He keeps saying that. It wasn't a date, but okay, go ahead.
She does not look like she's excited to be here, does she?
I just want you to tell the truth.
The truth was she kidnapped me, but no, we were forced into meeting each other.
Yep.
And she did not like me when we first met.
I did not.
4 months later, we were engaged.
We were.
She fell madly in love with me.
5 days after our engagement, Lovey was stabbed in his heart, through the heart, I should say, 2 open heart surgeries later. This all happened before we got married. He was stabbed by my ex-boyfriend. And 4 years after we got married, I told him I wanted a divorce at Morton's Steakhouse in between what he likes to say was this cream spinach and mashed potato, or I don't know, some kind of potato.
But yeah, we were we were literally at dinner celebrating our 4-year anniversary, and she asked for a divorce.
I literally just said that. I said that part.
I had to emphasize it. And so, but we found our way through it. Mm-hmm. What we ended up doing is, through lots of introspection, lots of coaching, therapy, books that we never read, quite honestly.
I read some of the books.
I didn't, because I'm not the one that asked for the divorce.
Wow.
But no, we went through some stuff, right? But we had to figure it out. And by doing that, what we did come to the realization was that we wanted to be that couple that we needed when we were going through this. Mm. And that's what started our journey. It didn't happen overnight. It took some time. And that's how we came up with Married into Crazy. And crazy stands for?
Compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding.
And we can be a little bit more of each of those things by being more compassionate, by really focusing on the real, not what's made up in our head, but what's real, what's really happening in our relationships, by being accountable to ourselves and to each other and to the covenant that we made with God, by being zealous, maintaining that enthusiasm just as much as we said on the day that we said I do, and then remaining yielding, that submission part. We can be a little bit more of each of those things. And by focusing on that, by getting a little crazy in our marriage, we can ensure that we have an incredibly rewarding and enriching marriage. And that's what we talk about every single week on this podcast since 2018. And then that's why we bring other couples in to talk about their story. And like we said, subject matter experts that come in and talk about the nuances, different aspects of different things that contribute to marriage. Mm-hmm. A point in case, or case in point.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, that
point
was
in the
backwards.
case, okay.
It's like I got dyslexic with my own thought process there. Now, recently,
okay.
we occasionally get invited to do other things. We've had the opportunity to do some keynote speaking. We've traveled the United States, talking at different marriage conferences. And every now and then, there's a hidden gem in our own backyard. And we've recently been invited on not one, but 2 separate occasions to participate in the couch conversations at the Light Christian Church in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. Devana and Bernard Moore have this incredible platform, and they invite us and several other couples to sit up front, and there's this as a panel, and there's all these couples from different backgrounds that come, sit down, and they anonymously ask questions.
Yeah, they submit the questions through email or something like that, and none of us on the panel know what the questions are. No one knows who submitted the question. So they kind of ask the questions, and we each take turns answering them. And we get input from the audience members also. So it's a, we have really good conversations, and I feel like they feel more free to ask those questions. Maybe because it's anonymous, maybe because you're surrounded by other people who are, I want to say, in whatever boat you're in, but that are just there at couch conversation. And the couch conversation basically is about having couples having conversations. So you feel like you're in a safe space where you can ask the questions, give the input, and without feeling judged.
Yeah, and if you're in the Sacramento area, we're going to have more of these. And so keep an ear out, and we'll announce it as they come about that you want to participate in these. They're so much fun. But the reason why I bring that up is because this last go-around, there was a particular question that came up that I really wanted to touch bases on here on our show, because it was near and dear to my heart, because someone asked the question, what do you do when your spouse no longer wants to be married? And it struck home with me because, like I said, in our intro, that was us. Mm-hmm. So I immediately jumped on that question when we were on the panel, because that was us. And I took some notes and I shared them with Snooks on different things that I thought about, and then we discussed it. And so we took a few notes. And I just want you to know that if you're in a place where your spouse doesn't feel as if they want to be married any longer, know that you're not alone. It happens. It's very real. And many of us go through that at some point, because sometimes you're at different seasons. You start off equally yoked. You start off with all that zeal, like we talked about, the Z and crazy, but something happens. Sometimes it's completely out of our control. Sometimes it's within our control. Sometimes we do things that we're not even sure or understand what we did, that kind of changes the dynamic and the other person's willingness to be a part of the marriage. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that it's over. Because here we are. That was year 4 of our marriage. Mm-hmm. And here we are 24 years later, going on 25, happily married the majority of the time.
You better say all the time. I know you're ashamed.
No, but I want to give you, let me give you a scripture real quick. Psalm 34:18. If you're feeling like you're in this situation, the scripture says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Reflect and meditate on that. Because I think that if you're brokenhearted because you feel like you're really all in and your spouse isn't, or if you feel like you want out and you feel guilty because your spouse is all in, reflect on that scripture. And again, as we always say, barring abuse in any way, shape, or form, and you want out, you're not quite sure why, but you're not feeling it anymore, reflect on that scripture, and let's have a conversation. Now, look, we don't plan on, we're not going to profess to say that we're going to fix this or give you answers within a 20 to 30 minute span of this podcast. But what we hope to do is spark some conversation, to be a catalyst for some thought, giving you some food for thought.
So let me ask you a question. When I know that you said that you were, it took you by surprise when I told you that I wanted a divorce. But outside of surprise, what did you feel besides being mad? No,
it was a gut punch. I mean, quite honestly, it was one of those things where, I wouldn't say one of those things. I was hurt. I was brokenhearted. You were my everything. I mean, after our start, everything that we went through, and what's funny is at no point did I think, oh, I took a knife to the heart for you. It wasn't like a tit for tat, like I did this for you. You know what I mean? Like, no, but I mean, some people can say like,
everyone says that as just, that's why I laugh. Like, you may be the only person that never said that, but everyone else is like, he got stabbed for you and you wanted to leave him. And I mean,
people do say that.
Everybody says that.
Yeah, everybody goes there immediately. But that wasn't me. That wasn't what I...
Shouldn't be nobody. But anyway, go ahead. I'm all mad now. No,
but that wasn't my thought. I never went there. I never thought, oh, I did this for you. And because then it's like a quid pro quo. Like, I did this for you and you should be there for me. And it's not like that. At no point was it that. It was just that I'm all in on you. You're my everything and you don't want me. I felt like I was being thrown in the trash, like being completely tossed aside. And hell, I'm getting emotional now. It's like
that hurts my feelings.
it hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt dramatically. It still hurts when I think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, even almost 30 years later, it still hurts. But it's even though it hurts, though, it's like you didn't do it alone.
No, I mean, I did it. I did make that statement alone. I mean, when I think about it, when we talk about things that we may have regrets about in our relationship and stuff, things that we've done or whatever, I always think about that. That's something that I regret saying, because of how it made you feel, because how much I love you, because how much I care about you. I wasn't like setting out to hurt you or anything like that. And it makes me feel some kind of way. Even sometimes when I think about it, it makes me get emotional because, you're my guy. I love you. You're my,
Well, let's stay there for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
No, let's stay there for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people listening to this, and I hope there's a lot of people listening to this right now. The love that Snooks and I have for each other is immense.
I think you said it's a myth. I'm like, what?
Is immense.
Okay, thanks.
It is huge. It's almost mythical because it is storybook. It is fairy tale-ish. It is amazing, and yet we were there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I'm glad that you said that part because I've always said that is what I wanted in a marriage, in a relationship. I was not going to settle for anything else, anything other than. And there are times in my past relationships, I felt like I settled for a small amount of time, But when it came to getting married and having a family, I mean, I was proposed to 2 times before you and I. And because I knew, I was like, I can't go there. I can't do that because I know what I wanted. And when I got you, I was like, I hit the jackpot. This is what I was talking about, when everyone was like, oh, no one's going to love you like that. That's not a real thing. And here you came, like, hello, this is real, So but speaking on what you say, well, I mean, just thinking about me saying that to you, I felt like at the time I had to save myself first. It wasn't to shock you, to hurt you or anything. And honestly, I was kind of surprised that I'm like, how are you not feeling like I'm feeling because of what we were going through? But then, hindsight is 2020 or whatever they say whatever that is. Because I felt like I was going through it by myself. I didn't feel like you had my back. And we learned so much about each other since then. We've talked about, you trying to cover all bases, please everyone, and pleasing no one. It's like you were filling water in a strainer. You could fill it up all the way, but all those holes in the strainer, a colander, is all going to pour out. So no one is absorbing anything, at least of all me. So when that came about, I was like, I just can't anymore. I'm out.
No, it's true. And what's funny is that you were saying that you had to save yourself or you had to make sure that you were taking care of yourself. And I want people to know is that if you're on the other side of this, you're more than someone's decision to stay or to leave.
Right.
And I had to come to that realization that regardless of what her decision was, I had to learn something about myself. Now, I didn't know that at the point, but it was a process by which I had to go through. But you were more than that particular decision. You can't place your value, your self-value, your self-worth on the fact of whether or not a person wants to be married to you or not.
That's too much control that you give another person. That's too much power, I should say, Don't ever let the feelings that you have about yourself be tied to what someone else feels about you. And a lot of times in relationships, I think that is the key. Not a key, but that's something that happens. If they don't like you, then you don't like you. If they think something bad about you, then you think must be wrong with you too. Know what your worth is. And just because another person doesn't necessarily want to be with you, just like you said, you are way more than the decision that I had said that I wanted at that time,
And I may not have recognized that in the very beginning, but I will say this, that your identity is very separate. You have to keep your identity separate from your spouse's choices.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people get caught up because if your spouse is making these errant choices, and I'm not talking about, I'm stepping out of the whole conversation of, the spouse wants a divorce. I mean, if a spouse is gambling or has an addiction or is doing these errant behaviors, your identity has to be separate from that. Mm-hmm. Because they're making choices. It's no reflection on you.
Right.
And now, if they want a divorce because you're cheating, or they want a divorce because you're abusive, or they want something along those lines, then okay, that ties directly back to your behavior as well. Mm-hmm. But if it's one of those things where you're like me, just happy-go-lucky, going along, thinking, oh, everything's fine, and then they want out, it merits a conversation, which is why I'm going to say now that you do need to get coaching or counseling. You need to seek assistance outside of the two of you. There's a saying that the thinking that got you into this isn't going to get you out of it.
No.
We talk about that from a business perspective a lot of times, or even just from a health standpoint. The actions, the behaviors, the thinking that got you to where you are right now is not going to get you to the next level. It's not going to get you to where you want to be because it was only good enough to get you where you are. Same thing when it comes to your relationship. You have to surround yourself, we always talk about it, with an iron tribe, mm-hmm. with some individuals that are trusted, that are down for your covenant, not just down for you. You can't surround yourself with a bunch of yes people. You can't surround yourself with a bunch of individuals that's going to be like, yo, man, I told you she was no good for you, man. You just need to bounce. Come back with the fellas, hang out, man. I got this girl that I've been trying to hook you up with. She's been watching you on the sideline. She's ready for you, man. I drop her. I got you.
Right.
I'll put you back in the game.
Yeah. And that is so, I feel like that is so important, not just about even that individual type of conversation where they're saying, being around people who think that way. I feel like also even being around couples that I want to be around a couple that likes to be with their person. Exactly. I don't want to be with someone who they don't want to hang out with go on date nights or whatever with their spouses, because that means that when we're together, they're fighting or there's no cohesiveness. We can't even have good fun as couples because you got this couple over here. There's dissension. There's always something or whatever. I always want to be around another couple who enjoys being in the company of their spouse or their fiance or boyfriend or whatever. That's important because that's so draining. We've been around couples that have been the couple that's always yip, 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 or oh brother, here he come, or she always got something to say or something along those lines. It's very uncomfortable, number one. And it just makes us feel awkward. I'm just like, I'm not having a great time right now. So that's part of that, has something to do with that, the iron tribe, making sure not that they're just down for your covenant, but making sure that they're down for each other, because they're also, I feel like they'll hold you accountable in your relationship. If I did something wrong, I want my girl to be like, girl, you was out of line for that. That was not cool. Don't just take my side. Like Lovey said, not a yes person. And be like, yeah, he was blah, blah, blah. Check me, because I don't want to be in a situation where I lose out on something because I'm in my feelings. And that kind of goes to something I want to think about. I was thinking about too, was I done or was I just hurt when I said that to you? Because my brother was like, well, how'd you go from you don't want to be with him no more, and then a year and a half later y'all having another baby? I was like, well, I was hurt and not knowing how to deal with my feelings in a responsible way. I'll say, I was like, I'm out. I can't do it no more because I felt like I was doing it by myself or whatever.
Wait, don't speed past that.
What?
Don't speed past that. Go back to that.
Doing it by myself?
No. Like, am I done? Is the spouse done? Like, are they done with the marriage? Or are they hurt? Because a lot of times, you touch on this so often, are they suffering in silence?
Yeah.
Have they been suffering in silence for quite some time? So are they truly done? Or are they just so hurt that they need, or they feel a need to escape?
And you said that to me before, the fight or flight, Sometimes I think you may fight for a little bit, but then when I'm tired of fighting, I just got to go, because obviously my fighting is not making the situation any better. And I can only go 12 rounds. I can't even go 12 rounds. I might only be able to do 4. And by round 5, I'm out. I'm tapping out. I can't do it anymore. So I feel like for myself anyway, I was more hurt than I was done, obviously, because we didn't go nowhere, and we got another kid after the fact. So
I believe prayer was a big part of it for us. But I believe true that God
definitely,
God calls you to fight, but sometimes God also calls you to surrender
to Him,
always to Him, and surrender to His will. But I can't tell you how many times. You've seen it in movies, you've heard it in the songs, but you get to a certain point, like you said, a certain part where you're tired of fighting. Like, I just don't have any more fight in me.
Especially when you feel like I'm fighting in vain. I felt like I was fighting in vain. I'm saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again, with there being no change. And maybe there was some change. Maybe there was some movement on your part, but because I'm in my feelings, I'm not seeing no logic behind me being there.
It wasn't enough.
Well,
and there had been so
too.
much damage done that
Coming back,
even the little bit that I was doing, it wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's true. But I can't just place it on you. As I grew, and we started doing evaluating ourselves. I know for myself, evaluating me. Okay, reflecting on my behaviors and what was I saying? How did I contribute? Because a lot of times we want to always just put the blame on the other person, right? There wasn't just a situation where I should have just put the blame on you. I want to say I should have learned how this happened, I feel like, for a reason, so that we did learn about how to communicate effectively to where you're getting what I'm saying. I'm able to articulate better about what I want, what I don't want. It's funny too, because we talked about non-negotiables when we first got married. Or
Right.
I'm sorry, not even first got married, but when we first got together. I have 5 non-negotiables, and nowhere on my non-negotiable list had anything to do with his mother or any of the family members. But certain things, those things change in time. I'd never been married before. I had no idea about the way that in-laws or whatever can affect your relationship, right? So, after my non-negotiables, check.
And that's
We're
what I was
good.
doing. I was checking boxes like, okay, cool, we good. And I'm like, I can do this blindfolded.
Right.
But it wasn't something that was on our horizon, or at least I didn't anticipate, right? We didn't. But look, I had mentioned prayer earlier. And as much as I believe in prayer, and you should constantly, right?
Definitely.
Prayer should stay constant, but prayer isn't about fixing your spouse. Prayer is about healing, right? So the prayer should always be about, Lord, help me. Lord, heal my marriage. Lord, work on our covenant. Lord, touch us, touch my spirit, touch his spirit, touch her spirit, it's about those things. Not, fix him. Let him know I was right. You know what I mean? Something along those lines. But it's about healing. It's about creating a fertile ground for the covenant itself. I'm going to give you another scripture.
You did need to be fixed, though.
Look, Romans 12:12. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It requires an exploration in your faith and using prayer as your anchor. Look, none of the stuff we're talking about, probably things that you don't already know. But maybe you need to hear it from another source. Maybe you don't need to hear it from your sister, from your brother, your in-law, from your homie, from whomever, from your pastor. Maybe you needed to hear it in this podcast. Let faith in your prayer be your anchor as you work towards it. Pray for healing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't abandon your prayer in this process.
Yeah.
And it's funny. We started off talking about Bernard Moore and Devana and how we went and participated in their platform doing the couch conversations. And one of the things that they're famous for, the thing that they always talk about, Bernard is adamant about, look, I don't want to talk to my wife right now. I don't even want to talk to my girlfriend or my lover. He's like, I need to talk to my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to set things aside and say, look, I know we aren't getting along right now, but I need my friend. I just want to talk to my friend.
I want people to really hear that and understand it too, because when you think about the grace that you give a friend,
more than anybody else,
the grace that you give a friend. If my friend did something that Lovey did that upset me, I would be upset and be like, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. But that my friend would get grace more. And I feel like everyone should really sit back and evaluate, how much grace do I give my friend versus how much I give my significant other.
Oh, come on, please. I have my 3 closest best friends. They're family to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to name them, but there's one in particular. And it goes both ways. He and I
mm-hmm.
have been giving each other so much grace since 5th grade. People wonder, why are you guys still friends? Or how are you guys still friends? And like when I mentioned him, they're like, you guys are still friends? We give each other an immense amount of grace. Mm-hmm. We love each other as long as the day is long. But it's true. I mean, we're talking about this right now. We give each other an inordinate amount of grace.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if we can give that same amount of grace to our spouses, I think we would cut the divorce rate down at least by 50%.
Right.
To where now the national divorce rate would only be 25%. Seriously.
I think it's more than 50%, to be honest. But I mean, I don't know.
I'm just saying.
It was up to 60 or something. But anyway, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, but that's a very solid point, And the other thing is, you can't do this alone. We talked about it before, but I mean, you really can't. I mean, we mentioned it before, having your iron tribe, having the other couples. If you are concerned about getting a therapist and you're like, I don't want people to know that we're going through stuff. Listen, if you're listening to our podcast right now, why don't you just go online, get on our calendar. You can actually schedule a free initial consultation just to have a conversation with us, about 20 minutes, just to see if we even fit. Mm-hmm. Schedule it. We can have a conversation and see if maybe we're the ones that you need to sit down with, and we can go through some coaching. We can go through, set up a plan. We can work with you for 3 months to just maybe get you through what you're going through, to create at least a pathway. It's not supposed to be long-term. We're not supposed to have clients for 3, 4, 5, 15 years. It's really about giving you the resources, the tools to help you be able to really manage on your own. Mm-hmm. But we're here for you if you need us. And you can go to marriedintocrazy.com in order to find out what we do for couples. So go ahead and schedule that. But if not us, look in your background. If you have EAP at your job, you can contact your EAP. Let them know that you're having some challenges, and they can give you a list of therapists, counselors that can actually work with you through your job for free. You'll get 6 free sessions. Your job doesn't know about it. It's all anonymous. It's all confidential, but it gives you resources. You can't say that, oh, I don't know, it's too expensive, because there's 6 free ones right there. If you have EAP at your job, you have access.
And also, if you, depending on what you like, if you're through church or what have you, there are counseling or coaching that you can do, having serious talks with your pastoral leadership or whomever. There are options there. Typically, there are options there. I know that all churches are different, but that is also another avenue that you can go through. And make sure that, I won't say make sure, but when you're looking for someone, kind of going back to the iron tribe type of thing. I know, like Lovey said, a lot of people don't want people in their business, but there should be someone, hopefully you have someone that you can trust within your circle. For us, it was his aunt and his uncle. And not that we didn't have other people that we could trust, but his aunt and his uncle, they were someone that we both felt like, oh, yeah, I would love to, I say mimic their relationship, not like do everything that they did, but there was something about them that resonated with the way that I felt. The love that they had for each other showed in so many different ways. When I first met them, I'll tell everybody, when I first met them, there was something about them. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I said, that's going to be Lovey and I. That's the kind of relationship that I want. I had only known them for like 5 minutes, but it was something about them, their spirit, their energy, everything. I went over there and sat on the couch. We were picking up Kaylin and went to go to the hospital. I never forget that day, because I remember walking in the house and I felt it. I'm hoping that you have someone in your circle that you have that type of relationship with, or that gives off that type of energy. Because what you don't want is to go to another couple who is, I don't know, they don't typically, get along. There are a lot of people who they may not ever divorce, because that's not in their, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what word I'm looking for, but that's not something that they do. They just stay married and miserable.
And live separate lives. Look at Jada and Will. They're married, but are they? But they're married.
Right.
Entitled. Right? And I'm not judging. I'm just saying that.
Be careful.
Be careful.
Hopefully there's someone that touches your energy, your spirit, the way that his aunt and uncle did for us.
Exactly. And look, in closing, what I want to do is just really encourage you to be encouraged. And recognize that sometimes you have to go through heartbreak in order to open yourself up more to a higher level of understanding, a higher level of loving. Because on the other side, and the one thing I do know for sure, that on the other side of discomfort, on the other side of pain, is always that greater thing, whatever that may be. When you're working out, that pain that you experience while you're working out, the thing you're looking for, the bigger muscles, the higher level of VO2 max, the better ability to get faster, to be able to have a higher cardiovascular capacity. It's on the other side of so much more pain. I recognize that in order to love at a higher level, sometimes you have to go through heartbreak. And that heartbreak is sometimes shedding what you think is the best way to love and then getting to a higher level of loving. And it requires a lot of self-sacrifice. Mm-hmm. I had to change the way that I operated to become the man that she deserved in order to ensure that, number one, I saved my marriage, but number two, to be the man that I wanted to be. Mm-hmm. The man that my daughters deserved to see their mother with, so then they had a blueprint for what they could look for. So these things happen for a reason. Now, with that said, sometimes you will get divorced. And we're not anti-divorce. Let that be known. We're very pro-marriage, but we are not anti-divorce. Because for different situations, different things, they happen. So don't get it twisted. But we do really advocate working it out until you can't possibly work it out any further.
Yeah.
So if this resonated with you, if you know of a couple, somebody that's going through it, share this with them. Share this episode. Share Married into Crazy with them. We want you to subscribe. We want you to be here every single week. We've got an incredible interview with one of the most dynamic couples that we've ever met. Is going to be on next week, the Dickersons. And so come back for that.
Yeah.
Go back in through the catalog, going all the way back to 2018. There's so many interviews. There's so many different individuals, and we continue to bring you more and more of these individuals, and the interview's going to get better. We plan on getting better. Just like our marriage got better, we plan on making sure that Married into Crazy continues to get better.
Yeah.
Share this share this episode with somebody that you know deserves it. And until the next time,
Be blessed.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovey can bless your marriage directly.